Well, hello, boys and girls. It's when we feel like 8 o'clock. I'm Pearl of Wisdom. Oh, I barely got that out. I'm Pearl of Wisdom. There we go. And you're listening to my NHL Pearls of Wisdom, coming to you live from the Helen's place. I could do it from my bedroom now because we've vacated a few people out of there, but I like Helen. Helen is great. And she's always grinding out the pearls. I got so many of them here. Wow. Tons of pearls. Also, we haven't did Florida the Panthers for a while, but forget about that for no reason whatsoever. So we can continue, because we're living in social distancing now. And what's the other word? We are something. I don't know. I can't remember the word. I don't really pay attention to it. I don't watch the news. It's scary. But what's the word? Anyways, it doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is things can get boring. So you know how you can help yourself not be bored? You can remember the fine backup goaltender, Martin Boyle. Martin Boyle. Do it again. Martin Boyle. Keep on going. No, oh. You can even go, oh. You can change the level of your, and yeah, I do it all. I do it for like hours. It's like meditation. Yeah, just no, keep on going. Keep on doing it. Tahoob. Yeah, don't stop. Just keep on doing it. Watch. It's therapeutic. It's very therapeutic. Karen Zalamsky and Randy Kay, Joe Johnson, Masta, Doug Masta. There's so many of you out there. I always feel like I'm forgetting somebody, but I'm forgetting lots because there's all the followers that, I have like lots of followers. They just don't watch my videos. That's they follow me. They just don't really watch my videos. That's all. Anyways, got to go back to, Mr. Ricketts, John from Ricketts Picks. He does a fine Mountain Boy. Let me tell you, one of the best. First I did Vancouver. He also asked for Winnipeg. We did Winnipeg. What am I talking about when I say that? Well, I'm doing a projection of each team for the future, next year, what have you. We'll talk about playoffs when playoffs come around. It's talking about like contracts that are there, what choices they may make. A lot of this has to do with drafting too. Like for instance, I did Vancouver. Not really. I haven't really did anybody outside of the playoffs right now, but it's not going to change all that much. But anyways, he said he'd like to do Vancouver and Winnipeg. So I'm doing Winnipeg now. You know how the guys do that? They say, I'm going to do that right now. And then they got this like fancy jingle that goes. I just do the Perlo dance. That's what I should do. I'm just going to do the Perlo dance. Winnipeg. The Winnipeg Jets. Let's get at her. Okay, the Winnipeg Jets. First of all, I think if Cheval Day off, I think he should get General Manager of the Year next year with what had happened there. Maybe. It's like he had a lot of stuff to deal with Bufflin not going, and then Trouba wanted out. It was obvious Trouba wanted out. But then maybe you don't give him Manager of the Year because it appeared to me that he did or at least the organization anyways, I don't know how much he chose to do this, but like they pissed off Trouba because they played him in the 5-6 spot and then tried to pay him like a 5-6 defenseman on his first contract. And he eventually succumbed after holding out. And then his next contract, he said, bye-bye, I'm out of here. Might as well trade me. I'm not playing for you. And I don't blame him, to tell you the honest truth. I'm surprised. You might see the same thing happen with Lionel, to tell you the honest truth, as we get into this. So let's look at some of their contracts. One thing we're going to notice, or one thing we're really going to focus on, is the defense, because their defense was porous last year or this year, and we'll see what happens in the playoffs, because there will be playoffs. Oh, there will be. Don't think otherwise. There will be. Believe it. and it will happen. Hellebuck, I think, and maybe I'll do videos on this, is like who's going to win the Vezina and all of those sort of things like that. But I'll give you a quick peek into it. I would say Hellebuck would have to be the Vezina winner this year. His numbers were fantastic considering, and we'll get into why I think that, because of the defense that they have. But let's look at some of the contracts they have and what they may do in the future here on their forwards. We'll go through them quick. Blake Wheeler, their captain, has been very consistent, but he seems to be kind of sliding a little bit. He's 33 years old, big boy. He's like 6'3", solid, plays wing, plays center, good, solid guy, but he's 33 years old and he's got 5 more years, 2, 3, 4, 5 more years till he's 38 years old at $8 million. $8 million. I actually don't think it would be a bad time to trade him right now, as far as just looking at a roster and thinking that's going to suck come 36, 37 years old. Maybe not for Blake, but he's already looks like he's falling off now. Fact of the matter is likely not going to happen. He's been ingrained into that culture for too long. Trading him would not bode well for future free agent signings. You know what I mean by that? It means that when teams are going to sign with the team, and Winnipeg isn't necessarily the city that screams, I want to go there. Okay. I live in Edmonton, Winnipeg. It's no different. People don't want to go here. Why? It's freaking cold. It's a small town mentality. Now, after they get to Winnipeg, most of these guys, Bufflin loved it in Winnipeg. So I don't know what happened there with the injury, but it wasn't because of Winnipeg. I'll tell you that. He loved it. And a lot of players do, but it's the whole mental aspect of getting there. So the fact is he's likely going to stay, and that $8 million it's steep. It's steep. But there's really not much you can do about it. He'll likely be there for a while. Kyle Connor, at 23 years old, they gave him $7 million, and I think this goes longer than 2025-26. But it's as far as this goes. I'll look it up. I'll look it up to make sure when we go on to depth charts. But it's a fantastic contract. $7 million for Kyle Connor. The guy's like going to be a perennial 34-goal scorer if he doesn't get injured, and he's still 23. Great contract. Patrick Laine at 6.7 for the next 2 years. Great for now, but I have an inkling that he's a little pissed that they kind of did that to him. They were playing him on the third, fourth line. It just seems like they were trying to keep his numbers down for his next contract. After the 2 years, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. And again, Patrick Laine says he loves Winnipeg. It's not anything to do with the fact that it's Winnipeg. It would be more to do with how the organization has handled him. And I don't disagree, to tell you the honest truth. Mark Scheifele, at $6 million, he's 27 years old. He's $6 million till he's 33. That is a stellar contract for one of the best, most underrated, best two-way centers in the league. Why doesn't this guy not get more Vezina attention? I know that there's a lot of great, like Couturier, but is Couturier that much better than Scheifele? I don't think so. I think they're about the same, to tell you the honest truth. He gets lost in Winnipeg. Winnipeg, it shouldn't get lost in there. It's a Canadian city, but he seems to. He's the assistant captain. Beautiful contract. Ehlers for $6 million for the next 5 years. He's only 25 years old. This is why I say maybe you might want to look at Cheveldayoff. I think he won already, again, for the best general manager of the year. He has guys wrapped up for some extremely good contracts. And I think possibly it's just because he puts his foot down on stuff and he's going to piss some guys off. But it's from taking the devil's advocate, looking at it from his perspective, you kind of got to do it. It's just the way it is. I don't think he does it out of malice, but in a cap world, you can't have people making too much money, one player making too much money, two players. Look at the Edmonton Oilers. I just got down to Ehlers here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that are fantastic hockey players. Does Edmonton Oilers, can I say that when I do Edmonton Oilers? Probably not, because of that reason. Toronto Maple Leafs is another one. And I did the Toronto Maple Leafs, by the way. You can check it out. I'll put it down in the bottom here. I talked about a few things there that you might find interesting. One of the things being Marner and the possible trade. Cody Eakin would be next. They got them from Vegas. Now, I think they probably want to re-sign him here because he is a hometown boy. And like I said, it's not, a lot of times it's not the easiest thing to get free agents to go to Winnipeg. So when you have somebody who really wants to be there, it's a good idea to sign him up. He was making 3.8 up until then. Now, that seems steep to me. He's probably going to be a third to fourth liner. I honestly don't know what they do with that contract. Hopefully they can get him for 2.5. That's what I think he would probably be worth right now. He's 28. Sign him up for 2.5 for the next 5 or 6 years and just give him like a really long contract. And he might bite, because I don't know if there's too many other teams out there that would do that sort of thing. He'll probably go check the market though and see what his value is, and they'll go from there. But I have a feeling they're going to sign him. Andrew Kopp, 2 years at 2.280. Nice. Andrew Kopp, like, they've got their bottom six. Their forward depth is absolutely tremendous. Jack Roslovic, there's another good example. He's going to be a restricted free agent this year. They could probably sign him up at 3.5 for a very long time. And I think if they did that, and there's another guy, this guy should have been playing higher. If he was playing on, like, say, the Edmonton Oilers, he would have been putting up way better numbers and making way more money than he is playing for the Jets. And they're going to sign him probably up for 3.5. Brian Little, who's injured right now, his career might be done. He's really had some serious injury problems, and it might be best for them because he's got a lot left on his contract at 32 years old at $5 million, and they can put it on the LTIR. But until then, at 3.5, his numbers only show 3.5, although he's a way better player than that because he's playing lower in the lineup than he probably should be. Jansen Harkins, I loved what I saw from him at the end of the year. He's a 22 that you can probably sign him for league minimum, and he'd be happy just to stay in the NHL. So that's not going to be hurt you too badly. Mason Appleton, do what you wish. League minimum, good fourth line guy, nothing wrong with him. Logan Shaw, you give him a two-way. Mark Letestu probably ends his career, 35 years old, has had injury problems. And Gabriel Bork has always been a tweener. So all of these guys add depth, but their forward depth is fairly fantastic. There's not much to say about that. I have heard rumblings about trading Nikolai Ehlers for some defensive help, and I don't think you have to. I hope they don't have to do something like that. Now let's look at their defense. This is kind of their issue. You have Dmitry Kulikov, who is becoming a UFA. He was making 4.3 this past season. They have been playing him way too high in the lineup. Kulikov at this stage of his career, really on a really good defense, should only be a 5.6, paying him $2 to $2.5 million. I'll get more on him as we go through. Joshua Morrissey, here's a good example. They signed him young, before he had really blossomed into what he is. They gave him 6.2. When I say they, I could probably say Cheveldayoff, the general manager. 6.250 after next year for a long time. And that is fantastic. He's a number one defenseman for sure. In this league, getting 6.25 for a number one defenseman, you're a good $3 million savings right there. Fantastic contract. So many good contracts in Winnipeg. Then you have Neil Pionk, who they traded Trouba because Trouba wanted to get out, and they got Pionk. Fantastic deal. Neil Pionk is actually better than I thought he was going to be. And I had somebody who said to me when I said, oh, geez, Winnipeg lost that trade. And they said, Neil Pionk is better than you think he is. And I was like, well, he's a good 3-4, but you know what? He's a 1-2. And I had to really swallow my pride here and admit He's fantastic. They've got a 1-2 in Neil Pionk and Morrissey. Couldn't hurt to have a better number one than Pionk, actually. He probably would be 3-4, but he can fill in the 2 role easy. And he's a right winger. And he's $3 million for the next 2 years. Now, they're going to have to sign him for a bigger contract after that, but that's going to be down the road. There's going to be more cap room, and they have a lot of cap space right now. Nathan Beaulieu, you can maybe not resign. They picked up Dylan DeMello. He's a UFA. I'd probably sign him up if you can get him at 3.5, somewhere around there. I think he'll be happy with that. I like him in your bottom 4, 5, 6. He can play a 4-5 if they don't pick anybody else up, which I think they will, and I'll get into that in a second. Carl Dahlstrom, he's 2 more years at 8.5. Sure, keep him as a 7th defenseman. Sami Niku, he leaves. Sami Niku has all the tools. He's only 23 years old. He could turn out to a fantastic defenseman. I don't know what they project him at right now. I think they projected him higher than what he is at the moment. He seems to get lost out there quite a bit, but man, he's got speed. He's hard hitting, and he's trying hard. I'm sure he will, by the time he's 25, 26, 27, be a good regular. The question is, what do you do with it now? I'd probably keep him at as low $1 million as you can. He can fight with DeMello for the and Dahlstrom for the 5, 6, 7 spots. Tucker Poolman is signed up for 2 years at 7.75. All of these guys can fight for those spots. And Anthony Boteto, you let him go. Give him a 2-way, put him in the minors or whatever the case may be. He's barely an NHL talent, but they were very successful this year with from basically after Neil Pionk, you got Beaulieu, DeMello, who wasn't with them all year, Sami Niku, Tucker Poolman was playing way higher than he should have been, and they are in a playoff position. Now they have very strong forwards, but if you know hockey, you can have all this. Look at Toronto. They have strong forwards, but their defense is about almost maybe a little bit worse, but about the same as Winnipeg. And they're barely making the playoffs right now. That might have something to do with the fact that they're in the East. I think it has more to do with the fact that they have Connor Hellebuck, who signed up for the next 4 years at $6 million, just over. Fantastic. Look what goaltender. Would you rather have Hellebuck or Bobrovsky? Or Carey Price right now is making $10 million a year. Holtby will probably get somewhere in this range in his next contract. Who would you rather have? This is a fantastic signings in so many different areas. Like I said, Brian Little, we'll see what happens with him being injured at all. Now, what would I do in this situation? We're approaching 20 minutes. I go to basically they don't want to trade their first round picks, which they have all of their picks. First, they have a first round, second round, no third, no fourth, because they have their defense does not look great as far as prospects are concerned. Their best prospect is probably Logan Stanley. I'm missing another one here. Why do they not have him in? Sandberg. He could play in the next couple of years. And also they have Ville Heinola. Those 3 defensemen are great. Their forward depth is Christian Vesalainen. Not much. They don't want to trade their first round picks. They want to keep building that depth. Ville Heinola actually played a lot this year, more than he needs to. It'd be nice to be able to give him another full year of growth next year. He's going to be good. After that, they could probably fill it in. So I think after saying all this, it would be really nice if they could find 2 defensemen on the free agent market. And there's just so happens there might be 2 defensemen on the free agent market that they could actually acquire. And not have to give up anything, which would be the best thing, especially because they have the cap room to do it, because of all these great contracts that they have. And those 2 I think, now Justin Schultz would be great. He's American. He's probably going to go to an American team. TJ Brodie is a free agent from Calgary. Calgary probably will not be able to sign him. Now, there's going to be a lot of teams that are looking at TJ, but I've got the impression that he would like to stay in the West, especially if he could go to Winnipeg. His family grew up, he has a young family that grew up in Calgary. I think he would really like it if he could stay in the Calgary area, or like, in the Western Canada area, so his kids can quickly go over and see his friends in Calgary and all of that. I think you got a good chance with him. At $4.6 million is what he was making. I think if you put him for Jake Muzzin money at 5.5, which I don't think is ridiculous, for 4 or 5 years, I don't know if there's going to be too many teams out there that aren't going to ask for too much more, and he may take a little less to stay in the West. I really like that. I think there's a really good chance they could pick him up. The other thing that I like is Sami Vatanen. He's in Carolina right now. Now, Carolina gave up quite a bit to get him for this season, and I'm sure they want to re-sign him again. The issue I have with that is that his position they're going to have to pay him, I would say, a good top four money. He made $4.8 million last year. He had 23 points in 47 games, which is pretty darn good, considering he was playing for a poor New Jersey team. I think there's teams out there that could give him 6.5, and I wouldn't be afraid to do so at 30 years old. It's a little steep, but out of whatever's out there, there's another one too. Actually, if you can't get Sammy, maybe he likes the comfort of not, in Carolina, you're not in the hustle and bustle of a Canadian where everybody knows your name and all that stuff like that. He may like that idea. He may stay there. He may be a tougher player to pick up too. He's going to have a lot of options. But then I forgot about somebody actually while I was talking about this, a good right winger that also played in Calgary, Travis Hamonic. If you could pick both of those guys up, they both are probably friends. They could come to a new team, be friends already. And I know Travis Hamonic, his wife's family live in Winnipeg. So I'm sure he'd be very happy. In fact, when he played for the Islanders, he was asking to get traded to Winnipeg, but they couldn't find the spot for him. So he ended up going to Calgary. So I think there's a really good chance they pick up Hamonic. And if you picked Hamonic up and Brodie and you added that to that defense for next year, you've got... I'm going to quickly look at the depth charts here. I know I'm going long, guys, but you guys love me, and you'll listen. You'll watch it all. You will. Yeah, boy. This old laptop almost had its day. Anyways, while I'm waiting for this to work, you've got Morrissey. You could put Brodie with Morrissey. Joshua Morrissey. You could. He could probably play the right side. He's normally a lefty, but and you could take Hamonic, throw him with Neil Pionk. Perfect combination as far as I'm concerned. You let Kulikov go, and you've got Tucker Poolman and maybe Nathan Beaulieu as your 5-6. Nothing wrong with any of that. That is a solid defense when you've got Hellebuyck and all of those forwards. I would say you have a cup contender on your hands. So there you go, Mr. Ricketts. Spent 25 minutes of your day listening to the fine pearls of the Winnipeg Jets. Make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe. I'd like to see that rising up because I love you guys. And comment down there on the bottom. Tell me who you want to hear next. And believe me, this is just me blabbering. Tell me what you think. What do you think they should do? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Would you like to see them trade some players? Are you a Winnipeg fan and probably know a hell of a lot more than I do and don't like certain players or what have you, let me know. Please let me know. Have a great day. Lots of love to you.